Christine Brennan just exposed the WNBA in a major way.
Christine Brennan is one of the best sports writers in the country, has been for a long time.
Caitlin Clark is way more important to the WNBA than Tiger Woods was to men's golf, even though he was huge. And to then see this negativity, like why and what should have been done? I looked seriously at the leadership of the WNBA. And how could you not be prepared for this moment? You've seen it happening in the Big Ten. You've seen it at Iowa. You see the
Angel Reese walked into Indiana with swagger, backed by Reebok and a loud campaign that screamed, "I'm in your city." It was a moment to shine, or so it seemed. But the city wasn't hers. It belonged to Caitlin Clark, injured or not. The empty streets outside her event, the lukewarm response from fans. It was all a reminder that hype doesn't equal heart. Reese came for the crown, but the silence spoke volumes. The people weren't showing up for her because the one they really cared about wasn't on the court.
The ground of the WNBA. She's been around for a very long time, and she knows the inner and outer workings of this league. Christine Brennan let it be known in multiple interviews that the WNBA was not ready for a superstar like Caitlin Clark.
Reebok went all in on Angel Reese, painting her face across Indiana and flooding social media with promos. The message was bold. She was ready to take over. But what they didn't realize was this. Without Caitlin Clark in the game, the spotlight dimmed for everyone. Reese's team banked on contrast, on tension, on being the rival. But with Clark sidelined, the rivalry lost its weight. The trap was loud, but the takeover never happened. Without Caitlin, the buzz fell flat. The silence was louder than any billboard.
The other players and the league around them, in Tiger's case, the PGA Tour, realized that a rising tide raises all boats and were incredibly supportive of Tiger and Jordan. With Caitlin, it seems like, for whatever reason, she's polarizing. Like she's been hit with more flagrant fouls than any player ever this year. They tried to come at you when you were writing a story and said, don't ask questions about why people don't like Caitlin Clark. But I'm going to ask you, Christine, why is she polarizing in your opinion? Why do people not embrace the phenomenon that is?
At the center of a hype machine was Reese's Reebok shoe launch, her first signature drop. But when the cameras cut away and the crowds cleared, the numbers didn't lie. Attendance was soft. Social media didn't explode. The hype didn't translate. Compared to Caitlin Clark's Nike chaos, where fans lined up and resellers flipped for hundreds, Reese's moment came and went like a breeze. It wasn't that the shoe failed. It was that the connection wasn't there. You can't sell identity if the audience hasn't bought it.
In the book, I deal with all of this and my research and reporting, because I was perplexed as well. I mean, this is the greatest moment ever for the WNBA. Yep. We wish it happened sooner. Of course we wish it happened sooner. There were amazing players who, as you know, both you guys know, were toiling in obscurity, the male-dominated.
Then came the all-star numbers, brutal, clear, and impossible to ignore. Last year with Caitlin Clark, the game pulled 3.44 million viewers. This year, 2.19 million, a 36% collapse. Even ticket prices took a dive, dropping from $121 to $64. The message from fans was simple. If Caitlin's not playing, we're not watching. The WNBA thought balance would keep fans tuned in, but this weekend proved the opposite. The numbers showed what no player or promo could hide. The league runs different when Clark's not there.
Me understand as a journalist the fascination, because I've covered a lot over my career and been very fortunate to be at Wimbledon's and Super Bowls and Tiger Woods and you name it, I've covered it. And I'm so lucky to have done that. And I found myself fascinated, who is this? And I'm getting text messages from guys who would never have watched a second of women's basketball. Good guys. They want their daughters to play sports. I mean, good people, but just And they're texting, are you there? I'm watching. Are you seeing this performance? And that told me something that I actually was very helpful to be at home watching it versus being on press row, talking to a bunch of other journalists, that okay, there's something going on in the country here. And it's everyone's fascinated and people are standing in line for hours in the cold around the Big Ten, this barnstorming tour. And it's all about a basketball player who happens.
Online, fans didn't rally behind Reese. They questioned the message. The I'm in your city promo felt less like pride and more like provocation. Clark's absence wasn't just physical. It left a vacuum of energy, passion, and narrative. Reese was supposed to fill that void, but instead, her campaign felt forced. It tried to stake a claim without owning the crowd. That's not empowerment. That's strategy gone wrong. And the fans saw it. You don't win over a city by announcing your presence. You win by owning their love.
Authorized, which is not ominous at all. You want it to be unauthorized because I can tell the truth, unvarnished. Caitlin's quoted throughout the book. She was great answering any question I asked her, but dealing with these important issues. So you've got a 74% black league. We understand this. I mean, I'm white. You know, Ramona, I think you guys are white.
Yeah.
We have no idea what it's like to be black in America. And I say that. Let's be brutally honest here. Here comes a white woman from Iowa, and she's going to be the biggest superstar. Now, absolutely, the spotlight's shining on her. Finally, it's shining on all these other players who deserved it for years but never got it. And that's a wonderful turn of events. But instead of focusing on the positive...
Caitlin Clark's Nike drop was more than a shoe. It was a movement. It sold out in minutes. It hit resale platforms for hundreds. It became a cultural moment. Angel Reese's Reebok launch didn't even ripple. Despite media backing and marketing spend, it felt hollow. Because here's the truth. You can't brand your way into legacy. Clark's connection with fans is real, rooted in years of consistency, leadership, and unforgettable moments. Reese is still in Chapter 1, and this weekend showed how far she still has to go.
They could use a little bit more of hero and villain to popularize the sport again. The WNBA does not need that because for a lot of America, Caitlin Clark is the hero. And anyone that comes to Caitlin Clark's defense is a hero. And everyone that flagrantly fouls her, speaks poorly of her, acts like she's not great is the villain. And then vice versa on that. How big of a part of the story is that when you look at the conflict surrounding Caitlin Clark?
So how did the WNBA...
Even Shaquille O'Neal, one of Reese's biggest supporters, couldn't hide the truth. On Power Moves, he said, she needs to be head-to-toe Reebok when she faces Caitlin Clark. That wasn't about confidence. It was about leverage. Reese's marketing value spikes when she's opposite Clark. That's the story Reebok built. But what happens when Clark isn't there? The whole structure wobbles. Without the rivalry, the branding doesn't hold up. And that's a reality Reese now faces. Her biggest moments are still tethered to someone else.
With it, for sure, in the book. And, you know, I think what we've seen is surprising to me. Having covered women's sports as well as men's, you know, for the length of my career.
Then came the tweet. Angel Reese posted, the most fun All-Star because of the players. The word players was in all caps, a clear jab, likely aimed at the fans, the media, or maybe even Clark herself. But the timing was wrong. The fans in Indiana had embraced her, despite the rivalry. The tweet didn't sound grateful. It sounded dismissive. And at the end of a weekend that already felt like a miss, it left a sour note. You don't lift yourself by throwing shade. Not when you're still...
Caitlin Clark, and let's say it, and I say it in the book, I'd go into this in depth. A white woman from Iowa in a 74% black league. That's an issue. The book is the first real journalistic look at this entire season and at Caitlin Clark and what she's done and all these issues that are out there. No holds barred.
Caitlin Clark doesn't need viral slogans. Her name does the work. She plays People Watch. She drops 30. It trends globally. Her shoes don't need promotions. They need restocks. Nike saw it early, locking her in for $28 million, with projections soaring past $150 million in future sales. That's not hype. That's legacy. That's value earned. While